Welcome to the Diabetes Podcast, where we focus on diabetes remission and diabetes prevention and awareness. We're also talking today about the path to living well in spite of challenges. Today's episode is for anyone who's ever faced the fear, confusion, or frustration that comes with complications, specifically Charcot Foot. Charcot Foot can deform your foot without pain, and many people don't even know it exists. In this episode, we're talking with Wayne Walker, host of the Trouble aFoot podcast, about what every person with diabetes needs to know. You can't afford to miss this. Wayne brings a unique perspective, blending lived experience, advocacy, and a deep commitment to helping others feel less alone. Whether you're newly diagnosed or supporting a loved one, today's conversation will give you insight, support, and a sense of hope that healing, physical and emotional, is possible. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to the Diabetes Podcast. I'm Richie.
And I'm Amber.
And Amber, today is an especially good day because today we're going to be doing our first interview ever with Wayne Walker. Wayne is the host of the Trouble aFoot podcast, specifically dealing with people that are experiencing or have Charcot Foot. And if you, like me, did not know what Charcot Foot is, we're going to get into it. It's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. And for me, one of the eye-opening things is that it can affect people much earlier in their diabetes. Much younger, yes. In their diabetes journey than a lot of some of the other pretty devastating effects. Without any further ado, let's get into it. Wayne, welcome to the Diabetes Podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate being here, guys. Good to see you. Good to hear you. And I want to say one thing before you even start with anything, because you deserve this. You deserve a thank you for what you do, especially helping diabetics. Okay. I'm sorry. Unselfishly helping people that have diabetes. We don't call them diabetics.
Yep. You got it. You got it. Yep.
People with diabetes. And your unselfishness and your giving is so helpful to the community, I'm sure. And I hope that my community on my podcast can reap the benefits of your podcast and more of what you do.
We feel the same way, Wayne. Okay. I got to tell you a little bit. You'd mentioned about how listening to our podcast enabled you to have a better conversation with your physician. I had an appointment with my podiatrist last week, and when I talked about Charcot Foot, his eyes lit up. Like, oh, you know about this? Like, nobody ever talks about this stuff here. So I ended up having a better conversation with my podiatrist just due to talking with you and learning a little bit more about Charcot. So it cuts both ways, man. We're all trying to do the best we can.
That's great. The big question to a podiatrist is, why don't you talk about it? But that's
especially this podiatrist.
I guess you can't talk about everything.
Diabetes.
Yeah.
He had diabetes.
So oh wow.
Yeah. It is a smaller world than you think. Yep. All right, Wayne. So let's get into it. First off, your podcast, the Trouble aFoot podcast, is how we got linked up with you, and your kind of audience is folks dealing with the life changes that come with a diagnosis of Charcot Foot. So before we get into the podcast stuff, can you tell us a little bit about Charcot Foot? Because this was totally new to me, and I think Amber had some experience, but not a terrible amount of experience with it. Can you get us up to speed on what is Charcot Foot?
Sure. And I'm going to be a complete layman to explain it to everybody, because that's just how I talk to people. But the one thing I will do is look at the definition of Charcot Foot. I'm not going to read WebMD or Google, but Charcot Foot is known in the medical world as neuropathic arthropathy. Once again, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Amber.
You did.
Arthropathy. Okay. And it's called several different things. Charcot foot, Charcot ankle. It's a neuromuscular disease that affects the bones in your foot, and mainly the ankle and the midfoot. Now, it collapses the bones and it gets real ugly, but there are some traits of the common Charcot Foot sufferer. And studies have shown that about 75% of the people that are affected by this disease have three traits. And it's that you are a neuropathic diabetic. Again, that's their terms, not mine. A neuropathic diabetic who is overweight. So break that down. You have diabetes. You also have neuropathy severely. And severe neuropathy, peripheral neuropathy, is or nerve damage in your feet and your hands, but this is affecting your feet, where you just don't feel what's happening in your feet. So you could step on something and you wouldn't know it. It's that severe. You could step on a nail and it could puncture your skin and go in an inch and you won't even know it. And that's scary in itself. But now coupling that with this bone disease that softens your bones and brings them to the brink of collapse, and you're also overweight. And usually it's someone that is considered obese and carrying about twice the normal weight that their body should be carrying. So it makes sense that your feet are going to suffer. You have the most bones in your body in your feet. And it was, I believe, it wasn't a neurologist. It was the orthopedic surgeon that I was talking to, likened it to somebody wearing headphones, turning the volume not to 10, but turning it to 15 and listening to it for 5 years straight. Those tiny bones that make up your eardrum are going to suffer. And this is just like what's happening to your feet. You've got that volume turned up very high because you're overweight, your bones are softened, and your feet collapse. And the worst part about Charcot, obviously it's horrible that your feet are collapsing, your bones are collapsing, but the bones have to go somewhere. And when they collapse, they move south. Obviously, gravity is going to take them south. There is a gap in your bones somewhere in your feet, in the bottom of your feet, that allows the bones to move to the very bottom of the middle of your midfoot and form what's called a rocker bottom. Now, the rocker bottom is basically about a golf ball sized lump of all these bones that are collecting, and the bones, the powder, the whatever that your bones turn into, and it solidifies into basically a golf ball that is sticking halfway out the bottom of your foot. So that sounds horrible as it is, but most people have a hard time looking at their feet anyway, inspecting their feet. Imagine weighing twice what you do right now, being completely out of shape, not being limber, and then trying to look at your feet. You just don't do it. It's very difficult. You need somebody to help you. And so what do? You don't even know that rocker bottom's there. You walk on your foot. Your neuropathy makes you unable to feel the pain, and that rocker bottom continues doing crazy damage to the mid part of your foot, breaking bones, pushing back up on bones, pushing down on the skin, thus forming an ulcer. If your body decides to alleviate that unknown pain but knows there's something wrong, you start walking on the side of your foot. You're walking on your ankle. It's amazing. People think it's okay because I can't feel it. It must be okay. I'm still walking. You develop sores, infection, and Charcot foot then can take over, and basically it could shoot those infections right up your bones. Osteomyelitis travels very quickly, especially in diabetics, and it could kill you. So that's the scariest part about Charcot foot, even though I don't know, and I have not heard many stories of people that have died from osteo until after maybe several amputations and surgeries and things like that. Yeah, so that's just my terminology, osteo. It just sounds cool.
No, I like it.
But again, osteomyelitis, very scary. Charcot foot, very scary. More than likely, people catch it, but they're already in the acute stage, and then they give you choices. The doctor will give you a few choices. And a good doctor will explain every one of those choices. You can wear orthotics the rest of your life and try and let the orthotics cushion the blow that you're not even feeling, which I did not think was a good idea. I just didn't want to walk around in different boots and let them test things on my feet while nothing was getting better. Second option, reconstructive surgery, which I chose. And the third option, amputation below the knee. it'll just eliminate the problem 100%. And there are amazing amounts of people that choose that. The population, it's about 50-50 about that. It's because it's such a personal choice. But see, I have other problems with my other foot, so I know that other foot's going to be bearing a lot of the weight for these past couple of years. That foot could go. So I didn't want to lose any parts yet, even though down the road I am resigned to the fact that I may have to have amputations further up my leg. But that's one thing with the podcast. I think that we like to talk to people and let them know that whatever happens, you're still here.
Yeah. And
you're still,
if I may, Wayne,
you. And nothing has really changed. Maybe your mobility. Yes, please.
I just wanted to tack on to a couple of things that you said for people who are newer to this. And you did a great job explaining what it is and what the conversation with the physician looks like about next steps. But one thing, when you mentioned how people can't feel their feet, I don't know that most people really truly understand the degree of loss of perception in the feet and feeling that we're talking about. And so I'd like to add a little story onto that. When I used to work in an endocrinology clinic, a gentleman came in and told me a story about how he had boots and was working in the yard and was doing various little construction projects in the yard and had worked all day. And when it came time to take his shoes off, he kept tugging and could not get his shoe off. The one shoe came off fine, and the other one, he just kept tugging at it and could not get this shoe off. And finally, I'm going to get this, just yank, pull, yank, and gets the shoe off, and it's just full of blood. So he's got a boot that's halfway full of blood that he looked at the shoe underneath, and he had stepped on a nail, a regular construction long nail, did not feel it at all, would not have known that there was a nail in his foot had he not been able to get the boot off and seen all of the blood inside the boot, which to me was my first, like, I've always heard diabetic neuropathy up until this point. I've heard of people going to prepare a bath and burning themselves because the bath weather was too hot. But this is the most extreme story that I had heard of to date about what kind of sensation loss we're talking about with diabetic neuropathy. So I just wanted to share that's what we're talking about sometimes with this severe neuropathy. And as you said, most of the time people have had this neuropathy for a decade or so before Charcot comes in. And the other key takeaway,
I'm sorry. Just to add to the stepping on something story, this is a good 15 years ago, and I knew that I was losing feeling in my feet, but I was in my garage, and I thought I stepped on a leaf. I thought there was a leaf that floated into my garage, and it was stuck on my foot. So I reached down to wipe the leaf off of my foot, and it was the end of a power cord for a drill. The two prongs were stuck in my foot.
Jeez.
Obviously, I pulled them out. And thought, no big deal, no biggie, because I can't feel it. It's to this day, I have a scar at the bottom of my foot with one of the sides is bigger, one smaller, just like a plug-in.
Wow. Yeah.
The larger side is called. And nurses laugh and they, we need to plug you in today. But that was my first real adventure with the neuropathy feeling, and that really made me realize this isn't really right. But I didn't do anything about it.
Okay, so that's where I want to dive in. This is always my biggest curiosity, is like you've stepped on a power cord, and I've stepped on a power cord before, and it didn't go into my feet, and I was like, ha! So like mad, and it hurt. So I could not imagine the prongs going into my foot and pulling it out. And I'm like, oh, that's odd. Tell me more about why the alarm bells didn't sound more strongly for you. Tell me more about that.
When you don't feel pain, now remember, pain is a gift. And the doctors tell me that all the time. if you don't have pain, your body doesn't know how to take that step back. Your body doesn't know how to pull away from that power cord. And I pulled the thing out, and there was blood dripping through my garage. And I just walked in the house and got a towel and covered my foot and said to my wife, "Hey, Lori, get in here." She's freaking out because I'm bleeding pretty good. And I'm like, but it doesn't hurt. And when something doesn't hurt, you almost feel like, hey, maybe that's a good thing and I'm invincible. We're not. No one's invincible. We're not above the law. And this is the ultimate law. Your body's telling you something. So, you just don't have pain, so you don't think it's a problem, so you don't follow through. And, of course, I'm the man of the house with my ego. I don't need to go to the doctor. This will heal up. Put a couple of Band-Aids on it. Let's go. Rub some dirt on it. Let's go.
Rub some dirt on it. Oh.
Where my mindset will go. Yeah.
I think that's one of the big common, let's call it one of the big lies of diabetes that we have to deal with, is that it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I don't feel good, but it's not that bad. And it's never that bad right up until it is. And then that's usually when people want to do something about it. And oftentimes by that, it's often too late. The amount that we can get better has a ceiling at that point in time.
Sorry, can I interject just a second and talk about like the prevalence, like who's at risk of this and how many people are we talking about within like people who have diabetes and then people who have neuropathy? So my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's somewhere between 1 to 4 in 1,000 people who have diabetes will get Charcot Foot. But then if you have neuropathy, your chances increase significantly, where it's 13% of all people with neuropathy get Charcot Foot. Is that in line with what you were thinking, or are you feeling like it's more rare than that? What are your thoughts?
She cuts to the chase, doesn't she, Richie? No, seriously, I've seen the numbers all over the board. I've seen diabetics might contract this disease, maybe 1% of all diabetics, type 1 or
people
type
with
2.
Diabetes, yeah.
I'm sorry, people. I better write that
We're
down.
We're going to train you.
I'm going to put that right here over the keyboard. So those people with diabetes, about 1%, and I've heard that number. I've heard the numbers you're talking about also. I've heard that people that hit all 3 categories, that are diabetic neuropathists, people, okay, I'm going to have to change that. I'm going to complain to Google. People who have diabetes and have neuropathy and are overweight, the percentage jumps dramatically. And it's not just overweight. Like I said, unfortunately, it's to the stage of obese because of all the weight that's being carried.
Yeah.
And I've seen the percentages go as high as 10% of those people are likely to develop Charcot Foot. But it really depends how much they even try to walk. A lot of people in this stage are not ambulatory at all, and they've given up. And I am 6'5", and I weighed about 240 when I first went to the doctor. So I don't meet all 3 categories, although after the doctor asked me about my lifestyle and what I've done my whole life, playing basketball, working retail for 30 plus years on concrete floors, constantly on your feet, lifting and loading and bending and doing things. He says that you're the equivalent of a 400-pound person on those bones. He said, so that's probably why it developed quicker in you. But he's not sure of that. There's no scientific proof of that. But it makes sense that my feet have taken a pounding, and it happened, and it has to be accepted. And I don't know if that answers your question, Amber, but it's relatively unknown about the percentages. I wish they could narrow it down more, because the studies that are done are people that have Charcot Foot. But in a study, the population is very small compared to the entire population that has every disease.
And younger than you would think. And I think that's also important to discuss, is it's really riskier for the younger person who still has really good circulation. They might have lost feeling from the neuropathy, but they still have good circulation, which creates inflammation in the foot, which compounds the problem. So I think most of the time with diabetes, people like to ignore it, deny it, deflect that this is something that I don't have to worry about until I've had it for a long time or until it gets really bad. But as we've discussed before, it's fine until it's not. And a lot of people that I talk to, and I don't know if this is your experience, but it's like they understand that something's not where they want to be. They understand the energy levels aren't right. And people who are at risk for Charcot might feel that their gait is a little not right, or when they step on things, it feels a little different, but it doesn't hurt, as you said. So they think that they're okay. And it just hits them like a Mack truck out of left field. In the stories that you hear from people, is that a common theme, that this like out of nowhere smack, or is it different?
Oh, it's 100% out of left field. It affected me one evening. I thought I might have twisted my ankle a little bit when I was leaving a baseball game with my grandsons. And when I got home, I took my shoe off, and it was my foot was swollen up, and I was feeling wrong. And so I took my temperature. Being a diabetic who has ulcers and
being a person with diabetes.
Geez, you are absolutely right. I don't know where that other person was, but being a person with diabetes, I'm just going to say being a person with neuropathy or a neuropathic guy instead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm big on words and the words that we use and the way that we talk to ourselves. I don't mean to interrupt you. It's a habit. Like, I'm going to call it every time I see it.
I'm horrible with things. When
don't say that. That's also as bad.
I can be horrible with.
There you go.
You're improving on the language that you use. That's more empowering. That's it.
This is great. When people say they have a PIC line, you don't have to say the word line. I'm like that, and I say no. It already has the word line in it. No, it doesn't.
Exactly. For someone who loves the power of words as much as you do. Absolutely.
Yeah, and here I am just butchering this and giving everybody this disease and naming the disease after the disease. So anyway, you asked about, it hits like a Mack truck. So these people that have diabetes don't realize this. I didn't realize it. I was running a fever, so I know that it's got to be something with my foot. My doctor told me that is your port for infection are your feet. Always check your feet. If you feel a little bit woozy, check your feet. Come see me. Wonderful doctor. And I had a little ulcer I was healing on that foot, but it was swollen up. And I just said, I'm going to wait. Not even a half hour later, my temperature went up by another couple degrees, and I was pushing 103. And I said to my wife, we got to go. And she's, what? What do you mean? Where you go? I grabbed my bag because I have a bug out bag that's full, ready to be admitted to the hospital at any time because of my history. And I grabbed my bag and I said, you need to take me to the ER. And that's when they diagnosed it with me. I had no idea it was coming. Maybe that feel of the twisted ankle was a warning, but that was 10 before we got home and I took my shoe off. So everybody, unless you already have Charcot foot, see right now, I watch for it in my other foot. I watch for it to redevelop in my Charcot foot. But if you don't have it and don't know the signs, it hits you immediately. And that's
and you've never heard of it before.
You don't know how to spell it. You don't know anything. And you panic. And it's such a surprise. And that's why we need, and I appreciate your guys' help so much for helping to spread awareness of this, because people need to be aware that this is a serious complication of having diabetes. How's that? Did I say it right? This is a serious complication of this. And it's not just your eyes, it's not just your kidneys, and it's not just maybe checking your feet once in a while. This can level you.
Yeah.
This is a bully. It's a bully that wants to take your life away and take your freedoms away. And I'm here to tell people it doesn't have to be that way. Okay. Take charge, take your life back. There are ways. There are so many ways. It's just a foot. Now, people that are brand new and diagnosed with this don't understand what I mean when I say that. But come on, guys, it's only a foot. You've got the rest of your body. You've got your heart, your soul, your brain. We could all have Alzheimer's right now, and we wouldn't know it. And right there, it's the worst ever. But this is just a foot. And we can deal with it. Now, do you lose your foot? Maybe. That's okay. They've got ways. They've got incredible ways to give you a leg and give you a foot that's going to work okay. My doctor promised me, he said, I'm going to give you a feasible foot, but not necessarily a functional foot. You're not going to go out and play basketball. You're not going to go out and play soccer anymore. But you're going to have a foot there that you're going to be able to walk around on. You're not going to be able to walk your dog 3 miles anymore. He said, but what would you rather do? Never walk your dogs again or walk them around the block once? And I crave for that day when I can walk my dogs around the block once. And so he gave me hope, because maybe it's not a perfect foot, but none of us are perfect.
Yeah.
And this is none of us are perfect.
Yeah. It's just another hurdle. It's all yours.
What I wanted to say behind that is the fact that, just off subject, but atherosclerosis can begin in the teens, and in some people it can begin very early in age, but it's a progressive kind of, not degeneration, but maybe so, like it's this progressive foam cells in the artery walls built up over time, so that when you get to our age group, you are at greater risk for heart disease, stroke, things like that. And I think with this, a common theme with Charcot Foot tends to be that you've had neuropathy for some time, at least. Like you might not be that, have many other symptoms of diabetes, but you've had neuropathy for some time. And then I'm curious, when did you step on the plug? What was that timeline with stepping on the plug versus twisting your ankle and getting the diagnosis?
Oh, Lord, I stepped on the plug at least 10 years ago, maybe even longer. Wow. It may have been 15 years ago, because I judged time by when my podiatrist started, and I was one of his first patients. And now we have a great relationship, and I think it was already healed when he started. So this could have been 15 years ago, Amber. But because I just didn't think there was a problem. So neuropathy can obviously sneak up on you, but you don't feel it's a problem because you don't feel the pain. I was the guy that my grandkids and my nieces and nephews could tickle my feet. We would have tickle contests, and I didn't flinch.
You won every time.
Oh, every time, because I'm like that. If I have to cheat, I want to win the game. No, that's my father coming through. He was the one that would give Christmas gifts, but he would play all the games in November, so he would learn how to play them before he gave them to us. And
that is hilarious.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I at least could win the tickle game, and not realizing that something's wrong.
Yeah.
If you're listening out there and you can win the tickle game, maybe you need to.
That's the takeaway.
That's right. Maybe you should be careful. Yeah. And maybe that nerve damage. See, I feel that nerve damage can never, ever be reversed. But you have a little bit different outlook on that, Amber. And I really appreciate hearing that.
Wayne, you've been incredibly generous with your time. As we get to the end of the podcast here, if we can stick the landing, 2 questions.
Okay.
What would you say, first off, what would you say to, let's say, slightly younger Wayne, slightly younger to the real devastating effects of Charcot kicking in, to do different? And then second question, to people that are already dealing with this, what is the message? What's the real reason to not just check out, but to follow and subscribe to the Trouble Afoot podcast?
First of all, a younger Wayne, I don't know how far back you want me to go, but
what do you wish you would have known earlier that might have helped you avoid some of the worst, for lack of a better description?
I think that foot care is so important, and people don't realize that. Wearing the proper footwear. Mm-hmm. I think that probably contributed to my problem. Diabetes obviously is a silent killer that's affecting things internally. But I think that if I would take care of my feet better, maybe they wouldn't have numbed up on me. That's what I think. Back from the days of playing basketball in very cheap shoes to not having good golf shoes to not wearing good shoes. I thought footwear would be the important thing. And maybe it wasn't, and maybe it was. But when I look back, that I think that could have helped maybe some of my pain that was in my feet before I really developed the neuropathy. But it's all about education. And if I would have been warned that, hey, maybe I wouldn't have been warned about Charcot Foot, because I don't know if anyone really knew about it even 30 years ago, but they did, but they weren't talking at all about it. But would a doctor have warned me that, hey, this neuropathy is bad and you need to take these steps if you don't want something bad to develop? And I would need someone that's serious enough to kick my butt to do it, because I wasn't listening to doctors when they said, you're diabetic. Yeah. You're pre-diabetic. What does that mean? Yeah. That means nothing to me. It means nothing to anybody until it's too late. Yeah. And then they're telling me you have diabetes. And here's why. Okay, what do I do about it? Let's just watch it for now. All they did was wait 6 months and
just watch it get worse. Yeah.
And so I think education would have really helped a lot, but doctors, even 30 years ago, were not as transparent as they are today. They weren't as honest with you. They didn't tell you the possible outcomes. They just told you how they'll make you feel a little better, like you guys talk about. And I'm not blaming anything on anybody. I did this to myself with my choices, my lifestyle choices, my diet, whatever. And if it was something that was there, hereditary because of diabetes, maybe I didn't do it to myself, but I know I could have been a better patient and followed more of the rules. And I didn't
mean to interrupt you, but I think that what is that to be a better patient? And I think there's a lot of guilt and shame in this space that really doesn't serve a purpose or serve anyone. And that wasn't the purpose of the question. It was more like, is there anything that would have changed the trajectory potentially? And maybe having better awareness some years ago about diabetes, because the message to people has completely updated every decade. It gets more, because clinical inertia is a huge problem with type 2 diabetes, especially. But even now, just understanding the relationship between type 2 diabetes and heart disease and stroke and hearing loss and dementia, like all of these things, they're seeing the interweaving and how this plays out, because people are living longer as well. So they're able to see, if you live long enough, this comes with it. But I just didn't want you to self-flagellate too much, because it's not really it. I don't know that you could have done anything any differently behavior-wise without massive amounts of support there.
I'm sorry, I'm looking up flagellate because I'm not hearing flatulate. Okay.
So religious, some super religious sect would take the cat of nine tails and beat them.
I'm with you, darling. I got it.
Gotcha.
Gotta have fun. I always say you gotta have fun. The second part of the question, though, Richie, and nobody, I think, has the answers to those questions. And everybody I talk to, I would say 90% of them are meeting the three categories the three symptoms or whatever you want to call it.
Can you say those one more time, Wayne? Being obese, having neuropathy,
having diabetes, being neuropathic,
diabetes. Okay,
and being obese.
Okay,
because it just all pounds down on your feet more and more. But I talked to a lot of people that weren't even diabetics, that other things had caused their neuropathy. It's very interesting. Some people that want to use my platform to look for others that have gone through what they've gone through. Something like the tuberculosis shot the Army gave this gentleman when he was 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
Caused neuropathy somehow. And he doesn't want to sue the government. He's not that guy, but he wants to see if there's anybody out there that has the same thing. Because they're saying he's pre-diabetic, but he all of a sudden, because of his neuropathy, developed Charcot Foot. So it's not always having diabetes. It's not always being obese. but it's almost always being neuropathic, because if you feel those little bones snap in your foot, you're going to feel it, and you're going to get a tear in your eye, and you're going to say something's wrong.
Or at least stay off the foot long enough to let it recover, as opposed to just continuing to pound it like nothing's happening.
And maybe that's the key to this crazy disease, is the neuropathy. Maybe that's the key that they need to look into first, because if somehow our wonderful scientific world can help eliminate or reverse neuropathy, it may get people, or people may never get to the stage that I'm at, or that me and my listeners are at. And none of us are looking for a cure. None of us are thinking that this is going to cure us. This is a support group and an awareness group, and we hope that people that have diabetes will listen in, even though they don't have Charcot Foot, so they can hear what they don't want to get. They can hear about it and do the things maybe differently than what we did it. And that's why we tell our stories, because obviously it feels good to release your emotions to people with the same like ailment, but we're also telling people to watch out.
Yeah.
Something else is lurking out there. My message to every person that talks to me or listens to me or on the podcast, even if you don't want to talk, is you are not alone. We're here for you. I have had people that are so thrilled to talk to me offline because they thought they were alone. One of my favorite ladies I talked to, she's from Canada, and she's like, I don't know anybody else in Canada that has Charcot Foot.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. I just don't think she's looked, but maybe she can be my Canadian advocate to spread awareness for Charcot Foot.
You're international now. You're good.
That's right. I have others. I've got New Zealand. I've got the UK. I've got India, and that's building. And how the heck did those people find me? Thank you, Spotify.
Yeah.
People just search and they see things, and if it looks interesting, they listen. And I hope they're still listening. So we try and make things light. We have a little fun. We understand that we have Charcot, so we talk about some different things to take your mind off of it. This is our podcast. So
I love it.
Yeah, get on and again, you guys, I really appreciate you helping me spread the awareness, and I think that we'll continue talking in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
And I love that you're creating a safe space for people to feel held and to feel in community. And I think none of us really fully understood how much we need that community and that interaction with other people pre-COVID. Like, we always knew it, but we didn't experience it so fully until then. So I love that you're doing this, Wayne. And I know people listening too.
All right. Wayne, we've really appreciated you showing up and contributing. Again, for everybody out there listening, Wayne Walker, the Trouble Afoot podcast. If you or anyone you love has Charcot Foot, or if your physician has even mentioned Charcot Foot to you, please check out the podcast. It really is a very safe space for people who are trying to turn this thing around to live as long and as well with what is just very openly a very challenging disease. So we really appreciate you coming on
and to understand that there are options and there's hope and that there's support.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Maybe. Yeah. Let's get it back on the schedule. All right, Wayne. Take care. And until next time, thanks for coming on the Diabetes Podcast.
Thank you for joining us for this heartfelt and eye-opening conversation with Wayne of the Trouble Afoot podcast. If you or someone you care about is navigating Charcot Foot, please know that you're not alone, and you don't have to walk this road without support. Be sure to check out the Trouble Afoot podcast and community for real stories, insights, and encouragement from people who truly understand what you're going through. And as always, if you found this episode helpful, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because knowledge, support, and connection are some of the most powerful tools we have. Until next time, take care of your feet, your body, and your mind. Take courage. You can do this. We can help.